Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. We'll give it just another 30 seconds or so before we dive into Amplify Reading and how you as parents are part of the program. And so to start, we'd love to just welcome you all. So this is parent night, even though it is the afternoon or maybe earlier, depending on where you are. But as we've been shifting to remote learning, we've gotten a lot more engagement from our caregivers, and it's been interesting for us to kind of learn the new dynamics that you're experiencing with your children's teachers and with your children themselves. And this whole new ecosystem of remote learning has kind of given us an opportunity to update some of the ways that we think about all the different community members around learning. So welcome to this session. We're very excited to have you. Our goals for today are really just to give you an understanding of what Amplify Reading is teaching and engaging with your child. So if you are here, it is likely because your school is using Amplify Reading and has sent home some information with your student or directly to you to get them onto the program. And we want to make sure that you have an understanding of what it is and what it's doing and how it works. And then, your role in this is, we know you have so much on your plate that we really just need your help in making sure that students can get in the program independently. And then we just want to share some things to help you talk to your student or your children, or if they have any questions as they're going along. Just want to make sure you have insights into the structure of the program and the experiences if kids ever do need help. And then also think about some of the ways that you can be part of the fun. Hopefully your students or your children have been really enjoying the program so far, and you might be wondering, who is this character at the bottom of my screen and what's going on there? So we want to make sure that you have some of those elements too to connect with your students, especially over the summer. But most importantly, we want to make sure that you walk away with this understanding the direct line of communication you have to Amplify and how we are setting up to support you. Your time is so precious and valuable, and everything's kind of been jumbled up. It's a very different experience. We want to make sure that you have a direct connection to us. So in summary, Amplify Reading is an adaptive, student-driven literacy program for your students in kindergarten through 5th grade. So it is designed to give your students personalized instruction and skills practice. So this is an engaging, high-quality program that students are working on independently, and our program is analyzing their data every step of the way to shift what we're showing them based on their needs. Your teachers are receiving performance and usage information on how your students are doing within the program. And typically they use this to just kind of generally monitor what students are doing, to help target one-on-one or small group instruction based on areas that might need additional support and based on some of our resources. And then using Amplify Reading data as a way to engage with their students. Again, it's a very exciting program that kids are really eager to talk about and expand outside of that one-on-one, student on device kind of model. So again, for you all, your role in this is really to just make sure that students can get in on their own, and then if you want to give them encouragement and engagement. And so you're going to see this slide a couple times throughout this presentation. Our support team is here for you. So we have a phone number and an email that you can reach out to directly if you ever have questions about where's my child log in again? What's their account information? Does it work on this device? My student is telling me they're stuck. Can you help me figure out what's going on? Our team is ready, willing, and able to support you. So here is their information, and we'll share it a couple times throughout this presentation. So we're going to first talk through setup. How do you help your kids get started? So first, thinking about the technical requirements. So your first step is to make sure that you have a compatible device. We'll of course share this information with you after this session, but we work on a range of devices, whether it's desktops, Chromebooks, iPads, etc., with both Safari and Chrome. You do need internet to be able to access this program. And again, if you are not sure if you have the right kind of device, you can reach out to our support team and they will help you kind of navigate these requirements and see if you have a device that your students can use. Also just want to note that these requirements are for like the gold level standard, but if you have some that are not, don't have the latest update, it still might work for your child. It just you might run into some hiccups along the way, but again, our support team is there to help give you guidance and recommendations. So once you figure that out, the next step is to create a bookmark to Amplify Reading. And the URL for Amplify Reading is reading.amplify.com. So we recommend, it's not required, we recommend you make a bookmark to this website so that students, when your kids get on your device, they can just know where to go quickly. They tap on that bookmark icon, and then they're here at the login page. And the third step is helping students log in. So first you need to make sure that you actually have their login credentials. So your teachers should have sent this to you at some point over the past several months, but if they haven't, please reach out to them. This is kind of a one-stop shop for your students' information and how to log in. We have two different methods here that we recommend for logging in at home. One is a QR code login, and one is a student username and password. So for QR codes, when you go to reading.amplify.com, you'll just click on that button at the top right-hand corner, and then students will flag their QR code in front of the camera, and that will log them in. You will need to enable camera access and make sure that you have a front-facing camera compatible device. So again, our support team is here to help you navigate the devices you have and what the best login method is. But we recommend QR codes for our younger students who might have challenges typing in a username and password. This is really aimed at supporting them. But again, you do need that front-facing camera to access this. The other option is a student username and password. So this is better for older students maybe who are more familiar with typing in login information. But again, if you're a younger student, this might not be the best option for you because your typing skills might not quite be there yet. So we have a couple of tips and tricks that we have collected from the field and from our own best practices aimed at maximizing your time and your students or your child's time on Amplify Reading. So first and foremost, there's a lot of audio happening in the program. So instruction, read aloud supports that are really important for your students to hear, especially in the younger grades where they're focusing on letter sounds. So we recommend that students have headphones while they're using the program, or if not, make sure that they're in as quiet a place as you can find when they decide to go into the program. Again, we recommend you help practicing how they log in with them until they can do it independently. This is something that a lot of teachers do in the classroom when they are new to this program. It just takes kids a couple days, maybe a couple weeks to get used to that routine of here's where I go for my information, here's where I go to log in, and now I'm in and I'm comfortable knowing what to do. That being said, to keep the routine alive, we recommend keeping their login information, so either that QR code or the username and password, in a single consistent place so that they don't need to bug you if and when they forget it. And we recommend that students play for about 15 minutes a session before needing a break. Some students can play for longer. Some students, especially younger students, might need a break more earlier than 15 minutes. Learning to read is really tough work. So it's kind of up to you and them how they want to structure each session time. We recommend that students are playing for 30 to 45 minutes a week. But in this remote learning landscape, we have seen teachers are advising daily usage. So maybe it's 15 minutes a day that students are on the program. It's really up to your teachers and what they're telling you to do, but there is no shortage of content in Amplify Reading, and there's no shortage of engagement. So we are seeing students use the program even more than they were doing in school at home. Also just want to call out that while it might be tempting sometimes if they are struggling with a certain concept to go help them, the program is really designed to respond to the student's individual needs and performance. So we really need them to be working independently in the program to make sure that we are giving them the right content and supports that they need. And then lastly, a tip for you is to make sure that you have that Amplify support team information, that email and phone number, in a consistent, safe place. Throw it on your fridge. If you're put the information in your phone in case you or your child ever need help. They are a very responsive team and eager to support you in the moment. And here is that information again that we will share with you after as well. So that is the basics of how to help students log in. It shouldn't take too long for them to get comfortable with that process, but then once they're in, we wanted to give you a quick overview of the types of experiences that are going on, what the structure is like, how they generally navigate the program, and what embedded supports we have for your students. So again, students will log in at reading.amplify.com. All of our students log in here, whether they're in kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. If this is their first time logging into the program, anytime they log into the program, they will see this play button and they click on that to kind of enter the experience. And you'll see here, for a lot of these slides, I'll show you visuals for kindergarten through 3rd grade on the left. That all takes place in this town called Bookerton. And our 4th and 5th grade experience takes place in a workshop beneath the town of Bookerton. So I want to make sure that you're having visuals for both in case you have the student in one grade range or the other, or maybe you have students in both. So once they hit the play button, if this is their first time in the program, so maybe you just got this information from your school to use over the summer, our K3 students are going to click on Alex. That is this character you see in this location, and that will immediately launch them into the introduction sequence. If they're in 4th and 5th grade, they will enter in this mysterious workshop, and they just need to click anywhere on the screen to zoom in and start the adventure. But in any subsequent logins, after they hit that play button, this is what an example of what they will see. So in terms of knowing where they should go, if you're in K3, you should always look for your Curioso. That is this little creature here. It is a customizable companion that is really a partner for learning and growth for your students as they are working on their skills. It has different customizations that students earn as they're going along. It also has literacy-based powers. It can pull things out of books. All of these really exciting things that students really love to do with their Curioso. So that's kind of your benchmark for where students should go. And then if you're in 4th and 5th grade, you go through content a little bit differently. So you start in this area, then you go here, then through here, and then through here. So think of it as kind of a clockwise kind of rotation through content. But when in doubt, look for what is illuminated. So you can see here that we have these what we call glyphs are highlighted. That should tell you where students should go next. And students are generally able to navigate this on their own. We did a lot of testing with students as we were developing the program and subsequently, but just want to make sure that you had that insight as well. So students go on what we call quests as they go through their learning adventure. And a quest essentially offers part of a storyline, so some engaging hook to keep the students interested in the experience and the content, but it's driving students to their personalized instruction across 13 different skill areas. And so those skill areas are kind of bucketed into different types of activities. So in both K3 and 4-5, our students will be working on skill games. They will also be working to transfer those skills and do independent reading in an e-reader. They will be doing a vocabulary practice in a program we call the Vocabulist. And then in 4th and 5th grade, our students are also going to be working on a close reading graphic novel adventure. So we're going to go through each of these one by one to make sure that you know where students get them and then kind of what it looks like. So starting with the skill games, you'll see in K3, they are represented by different icons and they each have a different name. So there are over 50 games that cover different skills that students will play through. So that's where they will access them in K3. And again, what the games that they are seeing here are based on their learning needs. Same thing for 4th and 5th grade, except it's housed in this kind of glyph center that students will click in, and then it will tell them what games they have to work on. Once they are in a game, you'll see the level progress screen. So students are served up a handful of levels within each game at a time, and those levels are linked to specific skill areas. So you might see, maybe it's just one level, maybe it's up to 5 levels, but that's what these numbers are indicating here. You'll also notice that there are some icons here that are meant to tell students a little bit about what they need to do and their progress so far. So if you see this check mark over a level, that means that that student has completed that level. They did a great job, they're good to go. If you see this lightning bolt, that means that students are currently working on this level, or it is what they should be working on next. And if you see that lock icon, that means that students haven't gotten there yet. So they have to finish level 2 before they get on to level 3. But we have this play button at the bottom that students can always click on to go directly to whatever they should be working on within this game. And then once students are in a game, the typical model is that Alex, you may remember her from the beginning, is going to give you some brief instruction on what the skill is and how to play the game. So then students will do the activity and they have some supports available to them. So if they need to hear the instructions again, they can just tap on Alex to hear it again. So if a student is ever saying to you, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, Alex is your friend and you can always direct them to tapping on her and she will repeat the instructions. If a student is saying, how much do I have left? You might want to look at this progress bar in green at the bottom of the screen. That is telling students how far along they are in this level. But if students are struggling within a certain level, we are going to adapt and we are going to kind of pull them out and give them more scaffolds. So in this case, for example, we have limited the number of options that students have to choose from. So students would do some of this more scaffolded practice before going into a standard round and continuing on their way. I also want to call out here, if you do speak Spanish at home, we do have some Spanish voiceover supports to help your students learn how to read in English. So this is just in the K3 environment. If you tap on those 3 dots at the top right-hand corner of your screen and then click on the Settings tab, you will see you have the choice of switching between English and Spanish. And what this will do is change the language of the storyline, as well as some of the instruction in over half of our skill games. So now moving on to the e-reader in K3, the e-reader is indicated by this book icon. Students will see different books as they go on their learning progression. And in 4th and 5th grade, students are working with actual chapter books. So each time they cycle through content, they are working on one chapter of a larger novel. So there are a lot of supports in our e-reader to help your student. So if you go to the settings icon, that can be accessed anytime the student is in the e-reader, there are a couple options available to your students. So they can add sentence numbers, They can add, they can turn on a read aloud functionality. So if they prefer having things read to them, they can turn that on. For students in kindergarten through second grade, this is automatically turned on for them because we know that they are going to need those supports. You can also turn on reveal words, which we'll see in a moment. And then you can also change the text size. So here's what it looks like in context. So once you've turned those settings on, you can look for the audio icon. Students can tap on that to hear the text read to them. And then if you see a word over here like elk with those dotted line underneath, that means that that has a reveal word support. So if you click on that, you can see a picture of the word or demonstrating the definition. You can see the part of speech and you can see the definition, and you can have that read out loud to you as well. This is a really great support for students to kind of see these in context of what they're reading with words that might be unfamiliar or tricky. And then the other thing students are going to do in the e-reader is do some transfer work. So taking some of the skills they were doing in those individual games and applying them into the e-reader. So they'll see different notifications as they're reading, kind of pop-ups with questions that they will have to answer to complete that activity. So now the vocabulist is just available in 3rd through 5th grade. Our kindergarten through 2nd graders are doing vocabulary work, but it's within the skill games themselves. The vocabulist is a different fun experience. So you'll see the vocabulist has its own icon and nomenclature in 3rd grade, and it's contained in this vessel, this purple thing on the left here in 4th and 5th grade. So once students click there, they get kind of transported to a different world with some different characters. They can see what words they will be working on that day, what they've worked on before. So giving them a sense of the types of activities that they're doing and the progress they've made. And then on the right, you can see just one example of the many types of vocabulary games that have students practice looking at vocabulary words in context. So these are just kind of great ways to engage students in different opportunities with their vocabulary work. And then last but not least, we have close reading. So close reading is targeted to our 4th and 5th graders, and it's through what we call this portal here. So after students have done some skill games and the vocabulist, the portal will light up, and that is telling the students that it is time to dive in and go to a different world, a different adventure to do the really hard work of close reading. And because close reading is so challenging, it's all about students looking at author's intent and how do you build an argument and why would an author choose this word over this word. It's really complex work, so we have a lot of supports in here, especially to support our students doing this kind of work. So we have more read aloud features for students who want the text read to them. Again, we have those reveal words. So anywhere you see a word with a dotted line underneath, it means you can click on it. Here you get to see that word directly in relation to the text, which is super helpful for our kids. You can click on the character at the bottom left hand of the screen to hear the instructions repeated. You can also jump back to previous parts of the instruction down here where it says episode 2. And then you have a hint button here that students can click on if they need additional support. So that is all the different types of fun things that your students are going to be doing in Amplify Reading, and hopefully gives you a good sense of the supports they have available to them and how you might engage with them if they are ever needing some support. The last thing is logging out. So you'll see at the top left-hand corner of each of these home screens, we have a log out button. We encourage students to log out, but the program will also time out after 30 minutes of inactivity. So maybe your child opened up a Chromebook, they were playing for a little bit, and then they wanted to grab a snack and then they forgot about it. The program will time them out so it's not doing anything weird to their progress or their experience. And again, if you have any questions or in the moment your child is wondering, what am I supposed to do next? Or can I get some help on this? You can always reach out to our support team to help you navigate those questions. So we'll pause here for any questions. Steve, did anything come in?
Yes, we have a couple questions, and definitely encourage people to keep sending them in as Laura answers them. Laura, first question is, can you remind me what devices this can be played on?
Sure. So this can be played on desktops, on Chromebooks, and on iPads.
Great. Another question we have is, if my child wanted to use this for summer learning when they're at home, how many minutes per day should I have them on it?
That's a great question, and we definitely encourage use over the summer. Our baseline for how much time you should spend like in one sitting is about 15 minutes. So I'd recommend maybe 15 minutes a day, but of course, if your student wants to play more than that, they are by all means welcome to. There's a lot of content that they can get through.
Okay, and then one more question. I think this one's for English learners. Is there a Spanish component to Amplify Reading?
Yes, so there are two answers there. So we have a lot of supports in the program that are designed to help any dual language learner. So some of those read aloud options, the reveal word support, some of our instruction is really geared at supporting that population of learner. But we also have Spanish voiceover. So students in kindergarten through third grade can turn on Spanish to hear the storyline. So a lot of the engagement pieces in Spanish, and then instruction in those games for about half of those games.
Okay, we just had a question. Can parents have access to Amplify Reading, or do we have to go through the teacher?
So you would have to go through the teacher to get your child's login information.
Okay, and then another question just came in. Does Amplify Reading help children that are struggling readers?
Yes, it is perfect for students who are struggling readers. One of the great things about our program is how we place students into the learning progression. So, we're placing students based on assessment data at a really granular level. So they're starting at a really personalized way, and then we're also moving them forward and giving them more support wherever they need. So it's really great for all students, but especially those who are struggling. And then the other thing is, because the student experiences, it's really a year-long storyline that's really compelling, that was really designed for each specific grade. We're seeing that our older students who are struggling as well are feeling motivated by the engagement layer while they're doing work on some skills that might be challenging to them or that they might need some more remediation on. So it is a wonderful, wonderful solution for students who need additional support.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions. There was, Maya, did you want to take the one about teacher login info, or?
Sure, I actually meant to type the response directly, but I will answer it live here. So as a teacher, you can get the login card that Laura showed on the screen earlier directly from your teacher dashboard. So there's a button there, believe it says, I forget if it says class login or login details, but you'd click that button and that would generate, you actually have the option to download the login information for your whole class, or you can on an individual basis download those login cards. Those individual login cards can be attached to an email that you'd send to a parent so that they can help their student access the program at home. No problem.
Great. One more question. Can a teacher also follow the student one-on-one so that I can see what they are doing as a student using Amplify Reading? Is that possible, Laura?
I'm not sure I totally understand the question. As a teacher, you have access to performance and usage data for each student. So you can see, what they're working on right now, what they have coming up. You can see all that information within your teacher dashboard. But if that doesn't answer the question, please maybe type in another one.
Yeah, feel free to follow up, Ms. Walsh, on that one. Oh, she's asking, can the screen be shared with the student while they are reading? I don't believe that is possible, but.
No, not within the program. But one thing we've seen teachers do recently is actually use some of the games or the texts in a Zoom session. So if there is a game that your students really like, or that focuses on a skill that they're struggling with, you can actually present your screen and kind of do like a guided small group lesson with students or one-on-one. So there are creative ways to maybe do some of that, but it's not built into the program right now.
And she had also asked if Amplify Reading is going to be free during the summer. It is not going to be. I just put a link in the chat that everyone can copy and paste if you are interested in purchasing Amplify Reading or just learning about what pricing and program options could look like. Definitely go to that page and fill out the form, and Amplify Reading expert will follow up and be in touch shortly.
So I have a couple just wrap up slides, and then maybe we can take any additional questions that came in. But really just wanted to thank you all again for joining us today and really being part of our growing Amplify community. We are very excited to be partnering with you, this summer and over the next school year, and are really excited to learn from you and your needs and make sure that we are supporting them. So one thing that we will have available starting in August to support you is a caregiver website. So making sure that you have your own space that will provide you with a lot of the information that we covered today, a reminder of where to go for support, but also some of these more engagement resources that you can use with your students at home if you want to, kind of an event log for more parent sessions or other types of webinars that we think you might be interested in. And so we're really excited to be launching that and making sure that you are able to get the information you need as soon as possible. And alongside that, we want to make sure that the resources and content we have available are in both English and Spanish. So that will be launched in August and evolving over time. So please do not be shy about reaching out to share any of the pain points you've had or things that you'd really like to see. We are a very iterative, responsive team, so we are very excited to learn from you. And then, we also have a really great Science of Reading podcast series where we partner with literacy experts to talk about some of the latest research in education, challenges in education, especially recently. How do you take the research and apply it to distance learning, things like that. If you are interested or somehow have the time to learn more about literacy or are interested in these conversations, we welcome you to this community. We also have a Facebook group about the science of reading that is kind of product agnostic. So it doesn't matter if you're using Amplify Reading or not. It's just a great way for educators and parents to connect with each other about best practices and support for their students. So we hope that we will see you in those communities and are excited to build out what we can offer. But Steve, are there any other questions that came in?
No, I think we're all set, Laura.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time and your attention. We hope your students are enjoying the program and get to continue using it over the summer. It's a really great way to keep them engaged in learning over the summer and ready for whatever back to school brings. But we really appreciate your time and joining us in our community as we move forward. So thank you so much.